first and foremost, I want to get your reactions to the verdict today, starting with you, Charles.
Well, at first, we can, in news media, can officially say the word murderer when referring to Derek Chauvin, which is big. And it's really important not to lose sight of the historic nature of that kind of a moment. But in addition to that, for Black people, I think it is important to be able to take the moment and to rejoice in the moment as any warrior can, but to realize that the victory in a battle is not a victory in the war itself, that the war still rages, that you have to remain committed in that war. And I think that is a consciousness that Black people have always worn in this country, a double consciousness of dealing with the battle in front of them, whatever that was at the moment, but also remembering that that battle was not the war, that the war still rages and it continues, and you must continue to fight even after this moment of celebration.
Kwame, your thoughts?
Today has been interesting, right? At 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, we get the announcement that justice had been served for the Floyd family. No later than an hour did we hear news out of Columbus, Ohio, that a 15-year-old, Ma'Khia Bryant, who called the police because someone was threatening to harm her, and the police show up and shoot her. Today's actions that transpired show that this isolated moment of justice for one family, because we've been here hundreds of times over the last 6 years, we still have to fight until justice prevails and becomes a reality for all Black people and not just one family. I hope that today's verdict brings healing to the Floyd family because they deserve that. But now we've got to fight for Ma'Khia Bryant. Now we've got to fight for Daunte Wright. We've got to continue to fight for Breonna Taylor. And we have to continuously, I'm kind of at a loss for words. This is a 15-year-old kid, right? This is somebody, we should be celebrating this moment. But it goes to show you that Black people never have a chance to celebrate in this country because we always have to continuously try not to die.
Absolutely. That story out of Columbus, Ohio was definitely triggering, and it goes to show that, again, this verdict doesn't mean that, say, the justice now works, right? This isn't the opportunity for people to now relax. The work is still going to have to continue. Charles, Kamala Harris said that this verdict will not heal the pain that's existed for generations. And she's right? Black folks and other communities of color have had to demand police accountability, and getting this guilty verdict, yes, provides some semblance of justice. I would say accountability for the George Floyd family, but still, like Kwame says, there's so much work to be done. So how do we move forward now that we have this verdict? I mean, there's still the penalty phase. And of course, people are skeptical about how much time Chauvin will really see. But we still have more work to do, and people don't know how to proceed forward. What is your take?
Well, it's important to remember that this verdict does not change a single police union rule. This verdict does not change a single word of criminal justice legislation. This verdict does not change a single precedent-setting ruling in any court, including and up until the Supreme Court, right? So all the people who are trying to change the system in which this killing occurred still have to do that work, because none of those things actually changed because of this. What this ruling shows is that the enormous hurdle that you have to cross in order to get an officer convicted of killing a person, an unarmed, in this case, Black person, is enormous. But only in the rarest of circumstances can a case get over it. And it has to be extraordinary. I mean, what you witnessed in the case of George Floyd is absolutely extraordinary. We've seen it so many times that I think we've kind of grown somewhat numb to it. We've said it so many times that I think we've come somewhat numb to it. A man,
Yeah.
forget what his job was, a man kneeled on the neck of another man in broad daylight, in public, pressed the life out of him for 9.5 minutes in front of witnesses, not concerned at all with all of their calls to get off of him and for him to plead for his life. It took that
Charles,
to
Kwame.
over.
Yes.
Charles, I think
on that note, Charles,
I think,
Kwame. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Kwame.
I think we'd also be remiss if we also didn't call out the Democratic Party for their actions afterwards. Nancy Pelosi, for her to stand in front of national media and say that George Floyd sacrificed his life for civil rights, that's completely BS and disrespectful to the family of George Floyd. George Floyd was murdered. George Floyd's murderer was convicted today. And the Democratic Party is going to have to prove that they can be better than white moderates and actually become allies to the movement to save Black lives.